Ladies and gentlemen, this was a sad week for us people in Berlin. A mentally ill person decided to drive a truck into a Christmas market, killing 9 people and leaving many more injured by doing so. But what really saddens me in all of this is that so many people decided to collude with the media in helping the terrorists who orchestrated this vicious attack. Their plan was to strike fear in the hearts of people in Berlin, across Europe and the world, and to create an atmosphere of distrust and hatred amongst us. And what is everyone doing? They help them by reiterating the mantra of how dangerous our world has become because of these lunatics. You see, there is a common bias at work here. When we access and process information, we usually use the information that is most easily available to us. That's why it's called the availability bias. But what does it mean? It means that the information that is most easily available to us conditions our reaction to events like this and also our decision of how to proceed in the wake of such events. So in reiterating the sad news that 9 people were killed in something very much alike to a traffic accident, the media and people like you and I who decide to post about this thing on Facebook and wherever make this information more easily available to everyone else. So just look at how many camera teams covered this tragic event, this story that was really not much of a story in terms of news production, at the site just in the few minutes when I was there. And what happens as a consequence? Those who spread violence win, and they win bigly. We become wary of our fellow human beings who are really our allies in this struggle called life and start regarding them with suspicion. And politicians see a need to placate our grief and fear through the securization of public space, like it happened here in Berlin and everywhere else for that matter. Let me put the news of this week in perspective for you. Every year, more cyclists get killed on the streets of Berlin in traffic accidents, and many more are left injured than from acts of terror. You see, I drive my bike every day and for long distances. So Mark Zuckerberg, if you're watching this, I want to be able to mark myself safe every time I return home. To me, that only seems reasonable. After all, I don't even like Christmas markets. Dear friends, please just stop posting about this terrorism crap and let's talk about really important issues like climate change, like income disparities. Let's talk about the future of Europe. Or let's talk about Europe's responsibility for the Middle East. And given that we created this whole mess, along with our beloved ally, the United States of America, that is driving refugee flows from that area. Or let's talk about the sale of German arms to a Saudi regime that is bombing out of Yemen with complete disregard for civilian lives. Why does no one talk about this? Or maybe let's even talk about something positive, like positive visions for the future. Let's talk about the right to a basic income or a greener future for our cities. Let's talk about the advances we made in fighting the worst diseases afflicting our species. Or let's talk about ways of staying connected in this globalized world. There's so many important things we should talk about, but please, let's not talk about terrorism any more than is absolutely necessary. And by that I mean very little. Unless you live in a place like Syria or Iraq or maybe even Pakistan, terrorism is not the biggest threat we are facing. So here's the message from Berlin that I really wanted to share with you.
The gravest need we have is the consumption of information. It's at the same time a mobilization of deep down fears. And I don't watch television personally, I don't read the news anymore, and I prefer to live in the countryside, which I do.
Okay. So a modern day Walden. The only sane reaction to all of this and this is a retreat to nature.
Retreat would kind of give it a negative connotation. It is the freedom to live your life openly, unaffected, joyfully, and not being loaded with all these negativities which are presented as the reality today worldwide. Because if it's today here, tomorrow it's somewhere else, and will be bombarded tomorrow with something else.
After watching this, you might think this dude is just contradicting himself, telling us not to talk about terrorism while he's constantly going on rambling about the issue. And you're probably right. So please just unwatch this video, Switch off your devices and start spreading some love. Give the person next to you a hug. And the other person too. Don't exclude anyone. And if you really want to make this world a better place, then start using love to combat hate, like these people did in Berlin 2 days ago.
Say it loud, say it here, refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here.
Hope that my wife doesn't listen or see what you are recording.
Why? Because you're hiding from her in the countryside?
No, little bit. No, but she is just the opposite. She feels one has to be engaged, one has to be informed, one has to be emotionally involved, one has to suffer with the others, and I think that's all crap.